Welcome to AL.com's post-game recap show presented by Alabama Power. We're here at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, where Arkansas just knocked off Auburn in quadruple overtime, 54-46. James, it was kind of a slow building game. Obviously, Auburn was really struggling there in the first quarter, a lot of drop passes, and then kind of had a wild finish there in overtime with all those touchdowns. But what are your just initial takeaways from this game?
I'd say it's missed opportunities on both sides of the ball because, early they started off slowly at 14-0, but in a game that ends at, it's such a wild score in quadruple overtime. Even the first quarter is not what you walk away with. It's missed opportunities on both sides of the ball. Offensively, Ricardo Lewis with several drops. All the wide receivers with several drops. It was 7 for the game. Lewis obviously had the drop in quadruple overtime in the back corner of the end zone. That was one that'll stick with him. He was very disappointed. He had, obviously, it wasn't a drop, but it was a final play that he was thrown to, pass break up there. But there were missed opportunities on offense.
Especially given his performance against Kentucky.
Yeah, he called it his worst game of the season. I think it would be hard to argue against that, truly. But that said, he also had some opportunities where he came through, got them at the end of regulation on that final drive to tie the game. So he had a pretty mixed bag where he had some drops, but he also came through with some plays to keep the game alive for him. Defensively, missed opportunities. Fourth overtime, Carlton Davis, who had a pretty good game, all things considered, gets beat again on that long touchdown to start fourth overtime. In the first overtime, they had a fourth down. Could have gotten off the field and ended the game there. At the end of regulation, you could argue even a tie game could get the ball back to the offense. Yeah, they held them to a field goal, but that could have been the deciding points. Offense came through. Defense held to a field goal, but really didn't come through exactly. In triple overtime, a fourth down touchdown, and a 2-point conversion. Opportunities that could have either ended it or at least held them to 6 as opposed to 8. So missed opportunities for a game that, while it decided last place, it seemed like there was a lot more on the line for the way this was played at the end. The big picture, Wes, this is going to be a hard one for them to overcome as they play Ole Miss next week.
Right. I mean, they return home to Jordan-Hare Stadium. I'm sure they're looking forward to that after being on the road for 2 weeks in a row. But I mean, you look at that game as I mean, we keep saying that Kentucky was a must-win and Arkansas was a must-win. But if Auburn can't beat Ole Miss, then I don't think that they're going to make it to a bowl game, which is just unbelievable, just considering how the season started, ranked number 6 in the country, hoping for that playoff spot. So, I mean, they're just going to have to put this behind them and come out with some kind of
and they were tested in this spot, not exactly in the same circumstances, but you saw with the A&M game last year where, all right, it was a real self-inflicted error at the end. They made an error, and then that carried over the Georgia game. Different circumstances, but a close game and a loss, that carried over for this team a year ago, and it set the tailspin in motion. They're confident that won't happen again, but we're going to have to see because this is a brutally tough way to lose in a game that obviously was winnable, and we felt, and a lot of people felt, could have been a must-win.